What is going on, guys? Eric Janicki back with another video. And if you are struggling to grow your chest, it might be because you're using this too much. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. The bench is the best exercise for chest. I don't think it's a bad exercise. Let me get that straight. With good form, so I'm gonna walk you through why I think there are some major limitations, injury risks, very ego-driven, and maybe some good alternatives that you guys can try out that might help you grow your chest as much as I have experienced since leaving the bench press behind about 8 years ago. So without further ado, let's get it. All right, here are the main reasons why I stopped bench pressing 8 to 9 years ago. And the number one thing is the number one ego-driven lift in the gym. It's all about how much weight you're putting on the bar. And what I've really realized over time is that weight is not unimportant when it comes to progressing. Progressive overload is hugely important, but within the confines of actually driving stimulus to the target muscle, right? So what a lot of people do when they hit bench is they want to use the shortest distance. So they'll go super wide grip, for example. They won't really get as much chest stimulus or narrow grip. They'll kind of push the shoulders forward here, and they'll use a lot of lat drive. So they'll go here and then they'll push out. So they'll use a lot of front delts or triceps, or really go super wide grip, try to get as much arch as possible and go here where you can actually get a lot of lat drive out of the bottom of the movement. So the other problems are, just as you saw right there, there's a lot of instability in the movement. So first I'm gonna walk you through, if you wanna keep bench pressing, I would go just about thumb width from the knurling. The first thing I would do is really lock in my feet, have a nice strong base, wrap thumbs. And the first thing I do, you see how far down over my chest? A lot of people start a bench press here. I want to start over chest. And then I want to pull the bar down into my upper abdominal. See how I roll my shoulders back? And then what I want to do is tuck the elbows to about 45 so my shoulders drop. And then I want to consciously press out of the meaty part of my palms up and through just to there. So I don't want to come up over my clavicle again. I want to be right here, drop down, elbows tucked about 45, soft kiss on the upper abdominal, and then press out with chest. So if you do want to bench press, I'm okay with it, but what you're gonna do is limit yourself on a few things. That's stability. The second thing is range of motion. So you saw the bar stops here. We're realistically way deeper and still stay in chest. And the last thing is there's a lot more injury risk. You're probably gonna load it heavier than you need to. You're probably not using perfect form, and you're probably chasing weight more than you're chasing stimulus. So I wanna walk you guys through the form and some example exercises that I think will trump the bench press specifically for growth. All right, so what I would do instead, if you want a press format, especially in a horizontal plane, I would do a machine press. So you can see there's like pin loaded variations like this one, totally fine. You have a plate loaded, which is usually what most gyms have. So what I do, always gonna add either a full foam roller or a half foam roller behind my upper back. And so I want it to be right above like where my top of my pants are. And then I didn't realize that this one has such good range of motion to start with. But what I want to do is have this, and you see how that lets me roll my scaps around it, or my upper back. And then you can see I have no problem with stability here. And I can really open up the chest, drop the shoulders, and then I can push forward and through. Most presses converge, which is much nicer, but even without that, you see how comfortable I can get back here. And then I want to think pushing through that meaty part of my palms, elbows down instead of flared out. So I don't want to ever see I don't want to ever get here. I always want to be here, and then I want to push, almost pretend like I'm pushing down through the floor. And obviously it's a cueing thing because this is on a track, so I can't control where that track goes. But when I cue there, you see how I keep my chest. The other thing I want you guys to always think about when you are pressing, think like you're like an O-line blocking. So you don't want to think here, you see how I collapse my chest and shoulders. You want to think here, drop, and you see how my chest puffs up when I press like that. So you want to think you're falling into the bench. So what's the difference between these two? So first is going to be kind of that ego-driven format here, where you're here, you drop the chest and chin. You see this a lot. See how my chest collapses there when I push out like that? I would put a ton of pressure on my front delt. Now watch these adjustments. First, I'm gonna roll the shoulders down and back. See how my chest gets nice and proud? And then instead of thinking push through, I wanna fall back into the bench as I push forward. And you see how my chest stays nice and proud there? And so that's what I wanna think about when I'm pressing. down and back, push through it. If you have any shoulder issues, pressing like this is going to be very helpful for you, because if you're constantly getting up and internally rotated and really shortening, you're going to get even more shoulder pain over time. So this is going to help you open up, going to help you grow your chest more, and you probably don't have to use as much weight, because the amount of torque and leverage you're going to get with your chest is harder with even less weight when you're way back there and you stay in chest throughout the movement and you don't have these ancillary movers helping you throughout. So that is exercise number 1. Okay, so exercise number 2 that I think trumps the bench press for chest growth. It's not a press, it is a fly. This is the best cable fly I teach. It is perfect angle, perfect leverage. We got the cables about 1.5 feet off the floor. We got the bench at about a 60-degree angle. We have it set out and in front of the cables, so you don't want to have any risk of it bottoming out. What you're gonna do is grab here, put enough weight on there, and then what I want to see is I want you to treat these guys like these as you would in terms of intensity, just like your presses. A lot of times with flies, they get treated as like a detail exercise, and that's like not a real thing, guys. You either are driving fucking stimulus to drive growth or you're not. So if you're doing your flies like this with 20 pounds like this, you're not doing jack shit. You might as well just go home. So what I want to see is expose the elbows. That's the number 1 mistake I used to make. I'd come here and you'd see me get a big stretch, but you see how that stretch is all in the front delt? So what I do now is I drop elbow, expose the bicep to opposite wall, and then I fly forward. So instead of thinking squeeze in like that, I take my palms, and it's a cueing thing, dropping shoulders, chest open. I push forward towards the opposite wall. And you see how I keep in chest there? So I reach back, I expose the bicep, chest is open. So you see how my front delt's almost behind the movement, so I can't take over with it. And then I push forward and squeeze through. So it's definitely not this. It's not here. This is what I see the most common. Internally rotating, all bicep and front delt, and then like this. Not much chest there. Watch the difference. Expose that bicep, push forward. You see how my chest explodes there? It's just a cueing thing. So I want you to attack this set as you would a press, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly how that looks. I'm gonna put 100 pounds on this each hand, and I'll show you what a true working set looks like on these. You can push your flies just like you push your presses, and you're probably gonna get even more growth from it. Those never easier. But what I will say is the acute stimulus I get in my chest, I don't feel any delts, I don't feel any biceps, and really, realistically, it's therapeutic too, because you can see how comfortably I get back with that much weight in my hand behind me like this. It's because I've taken so much time to strengthen all of those ancillary movers, get really opened up, create those stretch adaptations over time. And so I think it's a tremendous way to grow your chest. Is just be fucking healthy, right? If your tissue is long and healthy and you're training, you're not in pain all the time, you're probably gonna grow better, right? All these things work hand in hand. So, okay, last exercise, pretty common. I'm gonna use a curved bench for this, but you can use a regular incline bench. I'm gonna go an incline, a low incline chest press. So this is about 30 degrees. You can get up to about 40, 45 degrees. I wouldn't go past that. So let's grab some dumbbells here. So what we're gonna do here, safely to get them into position, put them on the quads, kick up. And then what I want to see is this position. So you see how the elbows are here, we're right about armpit height, and then we're pressing above chest. So a lot of times people will get out here and press like this. You see how my chest is completely off now? Watch, this one thing changes that. Dropping here, dumbbells about 45 degrees, right here, nice stretch opening, almost kiss that bicep with the dumbbell, and then drag out with chest. So we don't want to explode, we don't want to think, we want to think here, reach, and then concerted drive through the chest. See how the chest stays completely on throughout that entire movement? So we want to think less of here and up. Want to think here, drop in, think all chest. And that for me, one of that cue of thinking drag out a stretch, thinking back and here, and then think meaty parts of palms and pushing up and through it, not here. See that major difference? So it's not here, it's dropping meaty part of palms and thinking, almost falling back into the bench as I press up. You see how it keeps that chest nice and proud. It puts a lot less pressure on that shoulder capsule, on the front delt specifically, and then allows us to be really in chest the entirety of the set. That's why I said leave your ego at home. Really try to still progressively overload within the confines of these form cues. Keep yourself healthy. But my chest has never been a strong suit. But look now, I mean, I think it's definitely one of my better. But let's start off, see where we're at with this peak off season. About to start my prep, but we're still gonna show you guys what we're working with. Realistically, my chest was really struggling to grow. If you look closely, I have a little damage right here. That's from bench pressing. Want to see the other side? Right there, bench pressing. The little thing that crossed over my armpit, bench pressing. So it's kind of a shit movement if we're talking about modern bodybuilding. There's so many better options. Try those out, tell me what you think. If you want to keep bench pressing, by all means, just try to use those form cues I gave you at the beginning of the video. Without further ado, make sure you're getting your torque gear. Make sure you're getting my upcoming sculpted app. Without further ado, I love you guys. See you in the next video.